Hello, Andrew's family. My name is Unetsu Machete, and I am one of this year's AUGSA project managers. Tonight is a very special feature on Let's Talk, and we're not only just talking about AUGSA issues that are concerning grad students, but we also are talking about issues that concern even undergrad students. And we're going to be talking about Vote Week and the initiative of what it means and how can we get involved. So with me, we have Latoya, Malachi, and Michael Nixon, and I'll allow them at this time to introduce themselves.
All right. Well, my name is Malachi. I am the AUSA representative. I am the social vice president for AUSA this year. I'm senior, so this is my last year on campus, but I'm studying marketing and sociology.
Hi, my name is Latoya Wright. I am the other project manager with Oneste on AUGSA, and I'm in the seminary. This is my third year, and just really happy to be serving with our administration to serve the students.
Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Michael Nixon, VP for Diversity and Inclusion. We are co-sponsoring through the Office for Diversity and Inclusion our Vote Week initiative. So we're really excited about that, excited to share some information with you all on that. I have to give a couple special shout outs, first of all, to my colleagues, Donnie Keel and Dr. Stephen Yeagley, who both were very instrumental in helping to bring this week together. We're also partnering with the League of Women Voters for Berrien County. They are bringing a team of volunteers onto our campus to register folks to vote from 10 to 3 every day, except for Friday, it'll be 10 to 1. And we'll talk about that a bit more. But yeah, we're just really excited. And we're also partnering with Adventists for Social Justice, their Adventist Vote initiative. They're supporting our efforts to get students and employees and other folks in the community registered to vote. We just find it to be vitally important. And we also want to talk about how even folks who are non-citizens can get engaged in the process, because just because you can't vote doesn't mean that you can't be engaged in the very important conversations that surround our political process. So yeah, excited to be with you all today.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. You gave a synopsis. We appreciate that. So Andrews University is sponsoring Vote Week this week. So if unless someone has been living under a rock, we know that this year is an election year for the United States of America, and a very crucial year. Every year, every time there's an election, it's vitally important. But this year, the climate seems to be just really different because of everything else that's going on, the social issues going on, the racial issues going on, and so forth. And so we've seen a rise in especially young adults, the millennials and the younger ones, in being more interested in quote unquote politics. And politics isn't bad. It is what it is. But you have now generations who are saying, whoa, wait a minute, I'm interested in what's going on. So we're really excited that Andrews has come in to the corporate interest of being educated and educating the students on campus. So do you mind telling us where Vote Week came about, why this week, aside from another week? Just let us know why it's so important that this initiative was launched this time.
Sure. So I'll share my screen real quick, just so folks, if you've been on campus, you may have seen one of these flyers around. We're hoping that you see even more of them during this next week. So just some logistical information. It'll be taking place in our student center, October 5 to 9. And one of the reasons it came about, it was really birthed out of some conversations, in particular that I'd had with my colleague, Dr. Steve Yeagley, And I think when we were on a previous episode of Let's Talk, we talked about the fact that we would be ramping up some voter initiative um, activities on our campus for everyone, just because of the fact that we both share a passion for engaging in our political process. We think it's vitally important. I think that anyone who's been living through the year 2020 knows on a multitude of different levels how important our political process is. There's really no sticking your head in the sand. Um, I remember actually, when I was a student at Andrews, being really politically engaged, particularly during the election in 2008, and getting folks registered. And one of the things that was interesting when we were doing that was a lot of my peers were talking about the fact that I don't really feel like that affects my life. I don't really see that as being that important. But of course, we had a very captivating candidate that I think really injected energy into the process and got folks my age involved in it. And so there was a bit of an awakening around why our elections are so important. And so we really wanted to make sure that we did as much as we can as an institution to provide the resources, the information, the tools necessary for our students and employees to get engaged and involved. Ultimately, of course, it's an individual decision for folks to decide how and if they participate in the process, but we didn't ever want it to be said that Andrews University didn't do its part in making these resources available to everyone. And so, as the conversations continue to grow, we heard from some students as well who were really interested in what we were going to be doing around voter registration. Uh, the conversation then expanded to include Donnie Keel, and he put a lot of energy into. He's the one who created um, this flyer, and Steve Yeagley put a lot of effort into our website, which I'll show you now. If you go to andrews.edu/go/vote, you'll get really all the information that you need. We have our student voter guide on here. There's a Vote Week promo video there, which talks even more about why we feel like this is really important. We talk about why your vote matters, some information on why the youth voter turnout has been low in the past, but why it's really important. And we believe that youth are definitely going to step up and engage more in this election. Then we have information on who can vote, where you should vote, frequently asked questions on the process. And then we also have a plan for resources for you to make a plan for voting days. So, do you want to vote early? Are you mailing in your ballot? Are you voting on election day? However, it is you're going about doing that, we have the tools here for you to do that. And so, in particular, for students who want to vote on election day, who may have transportation issues, Student Life will be providing, free rides to and from the polling stations for anyone who needs it on an every 15-minute rolling schedule. And so, if that's something that someone needs, we'll provide that for you. Essentially, any part of the process, and then the really good thing about voting week this week is that if you do need to mail in your registration ballot, to be registered, excuse me, we will be able to provide postage and things of that nature for you. And so, again, we're really wanting to make this as easy and as seamless as possible for all our students so that, again, when we look back on this moment, it can be said that we as an institution did whatever we could to provide the resources needed to make things happen. And we're really excited about this week. And the reason we picked this week, I'll get to that part, is that we the major deadline in Michigan, although you can register same day if you're voting in person, we recommend registering beforehand. And so the registration deadline before that is October 19th. And so we found that having this week 5 through 9 gives us enough time to make sure everybody's information gets in time so that they can get their voter registration cards and be ready to go for election day. And we also, at the time we started planning, which was earlier in September, we wanted to make sure we had enough time to get all the logistical information together that was needed to make the week happen. So hopefully I covered everything there in regards to that question.
So my next question would be um, voters registration or voters registration week for Andrews. We already know how some people feel that is it really our place as a Christian institution to institute Vote Week? So my question would be, what would you say to some people who are not sure if they should participate in the election this year or in any election?
Well, I would simply say that I disagree with folks that think that we shouldn't have a vote week at a Christian institution. Um, we try to be very clear in recognizing that obviously, participation in the voting process is an individual decision. So we're not wanting to compel people or force people to participate. We think it's in everyone's best interest to do so. And we think that it's a vital part of the education process as well. We are a Christian institution of higher learning. And part of the education process, as particularly young adults coming into age and preparing for the future, is engaging with what's happening in the world at large, and particularly in the political process, which has such a vital effect on things like healthcare, on things like the economy, job opportunities, housing access, racial justice and equity. Hoping that there's some embracing of anti-racism, things of that nature. All these things that are just so critical at this time, and the conversations that we're having, which the gospel has a lot to say about, are indelibly connected to the political process as well. And the political process needs more people of goodwill, of ethical and moral principle involved in the process. And what I always say to folks is, because oftentimes their disengagement is due to apathy or to disappointment around the way the system works. And what I've always said to folks when they say that is, well, when have you ever seen something get better by people not engaging with it? And so it the system is going to continue to affect our lives in major ways, whether you participate or not. And so if you don't like the way the system's operating, uh, you're not going to be able to change that by disengaging. And I understand that voting is not the magic elixir to everything. I think it's one step in um, a multifaceted process of engagement to make our government, our political system better. And so folks have to prayerfully engage where they feel convicted to do so. But I think the ballot box is a really important part of that process.
And a quick follow up to that, where can students find where to vote this week? You talked about the time, but where can students go to register to vote on campus?
Sure. So let me just pull this up again, just so folks can see. So again, if you go to andrews.edu/go/vote, all this information is going to be here for you. But as you see here towards the bottom of the page, Vote Week student voter registration is going to be happening in our campus center. We're going to have a team of folks assisting you getting registered in the campus and student life office itself. They, of course, have the plexiglass set up so they'll be safe distancing. And so, what you'll do is go by that office. We'll have the registration applications available. Some folks have been picking them up already, and so they'll just need to show up to drop them off. So if you have a Michigan driver's license, photo ID, bring that. You can also bring just your student ID card, your Andrews University student ID, which has your picture on it. That would be fine to bring as well. That's all you need to bring with you. They'll photocopy that because that will be submitted along with your application. And once you turn it in to the folks that will be there in the student life office, they will, at the end of each day, submit the registration packets to our county clerk's office here in town in Orinoco Township. So yeah, that's where you will be able to get registered this week.
Right. So AUSA posted on our social media. If any undergraduates had a question or any questions pertaining Vote Week, we received one question. I think that was kind of answered on the website that VP Nixon referred to. But the question is, can people with permanent residence slash green cards vote, or is it for U.S. citizens only?
Yeah, so it's just for U.S. citizens. Yeah, and so, but that is it's a good question though because the question connected to that is how can someone who's not voting be engaged in the process? So we have a link here which talks about how you can use your voice, and so there are some initiatives here that talk about some different things that folks can do who are not voting, telling your story, talking about how the policies that are on the ballot affect you as a non-citizen because just because you're a non-citizen doesn't mean that you're not a part of our broader not just university family but American family, and so what happens in the political process affects you, and so raising your voice and talking about that is really helpful. There are various causes that we talk about folks being able to get engaged with. There's also opportunities to volunteer, and there are also ways where you can, um, again, telling your story and volunteering. And I know that at times we're not going to necessarily tell someone to volunteer for a particular candidate or things like that, but there are different activities that if someone feels motivated in getting involved and raising their voice, that's an entry point to getting engaged in the process. And talking to your friends who are citizens who may be a bit apathetic and say, hey, you know as a guest here in this country, what happens on election day really has a huge effect on me, and then as your friend, I'd really love for you to, maybe if you're not so motivated, for yourself, to cast a vote that will represent my interest as well. And so, helping to talk to voters about being a good steward of that opportunity to engage, I think, is really important as well.
I love how you frame that because um, this apathetic um, stance sometimes hurts us in the long run. And so, if we're all realizing that we're all really in this together,
Mhm.
and what happens really, really does affect um, families and schools and education and so forth. So these are subjects that we can easily engage in conversation with. That is not political per se. It doesn't, it's not dealing with any one particular candidate, but it's talking about our lifestyle here. And so if we had to sit before you like we are, um, and say to you, okay, VP Nixon, I'm in college, I'm not working right now, I'm 19 years old, I'm still young and so forth. What difference does it really, really make? For one, for me to really know what's going on, to be educated about what's going on, and to vote. Why can't I wait the next 4 years? What would you say to that person?
Well, what I would say to someone who just doesn't really see it as that big of a deal necessarily, um, you know, eh, I think sometimes when you get caught up in, so right now, you're a student and you have your schedule and you're on campus and you're involved in things that are happening on campus. And so it could be pretty easy to sort of unplug from what's happening in the world or in the country around us. And I think that if you open your eyes to what's happening across the country, you'll understand how important this moment is, where we're, over 200,000 people having died from COVID-19. We're seeing, confirmed cases start to spike again across the country. That, of course, has had an immense effect on an already, difficult time in our economy. So you have large unemployment across the country now, and that's been increasing. Um, and a lot of folks whose one stimulus check had ran out probably a couple days after they got it, and there's been nothing. There's been no support that's come since then, and you have a lot of the moratoriums on things like rent and bills and things of that nature that have ended, and but folks are still not back at work, or they're not getting the same sort of compensation that they were before being laid off, and just issues in our healthcare system, not just the lack of access, but just the exorbitant cost that we're dealing with. Um, there's in our environment, issues with our environment and climate change. We oftentimes forget about that, but the natural resources in our earth, depleting, just kind of under our noses, and so it's important for us to have leaders who are really in tune with these very critical issues that are affecting us. Nobody was thinking about the potential of a global pandemic until a global pandemic happened, you know? And so the defunding of, medical professionals and scientists who could help a country, brace itself and plan for something like that because there were signs that it was coming. Nobody really paid it. I mean, I knew nothing about that. I just to be honest, it's just something. It's like a thing that happened. Who knows if it was even reported on? Um, but when you have that pandemic just crashing onto our shores, now it's really important, and so at the end of the day, elections have consequences, and they have a direct connection to our way of life. If it's not affecting you now, um, it could affect you maybe 3 years down the line, because some of the effects of the 2016 election haven't fully been felt till 2020. And so that shows you that, it may not hurt, it may not, really manifest itself tomorrow or whatever the case may be. But at a certain point, you're going to want to be able to rely upon good leadership in critical moments. And if 2020 hasn't taught us that yet, then I don't know if it's a lesson that we're going to learn. But so yeah, I would encourage that person to really just open their eyes and see what's happening.
Okay, so I had a quick follow-up question. When on the website you showed, about mail-in ballots and so forth.
Hmm.
So I know that my son had asked me, well, he's a resident of Connecticut and
Uh-huh.
he's in school here. So are there going to be people on staff who will be able to explain or guide someone who just doesn't know, who wants to vote, but they're here, they're not a resident of Michigan? Will the partnerships that you have coming in from the county, will they be able to help guide that person in order for them to be able to get the necessary tools they need, whether it's something they need to mail in, a date, whether
Sure.
it's passed or not, because I think there's a lot of anxiety in not knowing, especially for first time voters who just it can be overwhelming hearing all these terminologies, absent ballots, this, that, and the other. So
Yeah.
will it be simplified enough that if they have a question on this week that they can come and still get served and walk away at least saying they know more?
Sure, absolutely. Our commitment to every student is you show up for vote week, you'll leave as a registered voter, and so that's what we're going to do. Um, I just want to make it clear for everyone, for students, like your son, you're here studying from another state, but you've all been here for at least 30 days, and there's a 30-day minimum on registering to vote in a state, and so you're all eligible to register to vote in Michigan. You are considered Michigan residents for the purpose of voting, and so if you're living in the dorm, if you're living in campus housing, university apartment, a local apartment here in town, um, assuming you all came at the beginning of the semester, you've been here for 30 days, and so it is your right to register to vote here in Michigan. And so um, there should be no confusion around that, hopefully. But you can take that to the bank, and if you have any issues with that, you won't have any issues coming to register on campus during voting week because the folks we have registering you know the rules quite clearly. Um, if you are interested in, and I'll pull the website up again, if you are interested in voting, let's say in your home state, um, you know, there, I would encourage you to go online because we'll have folks in person that can help talk to you about it. But each state has different deadlines and rules, and you know we didn't feel comfortable being able to figure out what the rules were in all 50 states, and so that's part of the reason why we launched this website a couple weeks ago before voting week because it could be that in your particular state, there may have been a past deadline or something like that. But for the purpose of voting, registering to vote here in Michigan, again, I'll reiterate, uh, all of our students would be eligible to register here due to the fact that they've been living in Michigan for at least 30 days. And so we will have folks on hand that will be able to walk them through that process and get them registered as they leave. So come in and then you'll leave and you'll be registered. And we're hoping that the process takes no longer than 5 to 10 minutes.
I have a question. So we have both associations here, AUSA and AUGSA representation. What is it that the student associations can do to be active and involved for the course of this vote week?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is really, using your influence, your social media platforms, your social network, your group chats, your TikToks, whatever it is, and just telling everybody you can, hey, let's get every student registered. If we could get every student registered to vote, I know that might be an ambitious goal. I don't even know what the number would be. But if we can get as close to that as possible, I think we could all see vote week as having been a success. Because again, it's not about we're not telling you who to vote for or how to engage, but we're telling you to engage. We're telling you to exercise this right to raise your voice and to participate in the process. And so, in addition to that, we will have a small tent set up outside the campus center where we'll be handing out some different paraphernalia, whether we'll have some buttons there, we'll probably have some snacks for folks who do go in to register to vote. And so if we do have student leaders or other students who are interested in volunteering at that tent, so if you want to volunteer, feel free to reach out to me. My office is in the campus center, or you can come by the tent that I was just talking about during the voting week hours, 10 to 3 Monday to Thursday, 10 to 1 on Friday, and encourage folks to, maybe as they're waiting for their gazebo order, maybe it's taking a little longer than they expected. Hey, that means you have 5 to 10 minutes to just come right over here, get registered, and when you come out, your order's ready, and you're a registered voter, and you got some food. So, what that's a good afternoon, in my opinion. So, yeah, just whatever you all can do to encourage people to engage and get involved. Um, let's really make this a huge effort on our campus, and let's end this week having hundreds of more people in our campus community registered to vote. I think that'd be amazing.
Malachi, do you have anything else that you?
No, I don't. I don't have anything else to add. But yeah, whatever way AUSA can help, we'll be looking to help out in getting all most of the undergrad students, if we can, all of the undergrad students registered to vote. I do think it's a pivotal point in our history where, especially a lot of the Gen Z and the generation below are of age, eligible age to vote, and I think that. Using that power, using that privilege as a citizen of the United States, that's a great thing moving forward, and it helps us build our future.
Awesome. VP Nixon, can we ask you to put that flyer up one more time,
Sure.
not mind, so that we can see again? Okay, so this week, Vote Week, October 5 through 9, at the Student Center. The flyers have been posted, and we are encouraging all of our students. We even want to extend it to, right, to our faculty and staff.
Sure. Yeah.
Everybody on Andrews campus
Mhm.
to raise your voice, to use the power of your voice to help create a brighter future and a quicker healing process for some of the, I would say, pitfalls that we're in right now. And so this November can make all of the difference, even on how we recover from COVID. So if that alone is not motivation enough, I don't know, like VP Nixon said, we don't know what else to say. So
Yeah.
the campus, the university has made it simple enough that all you have to do is show up, and everything else will be there to help you out. So October 5 through 9, you'll be there too, VP Nixon?
Oh yeah, I'm going
So
to
we'll
be
see you.
there the majority of the time. My office is right across the hall from Campus and Student Life, and so you all will see me there, encouraging folks to get registered because it's really important. And the other quick thing I just want to say is that because sometimes we have ideas around, well, does my one vote count? I mean, it's one vote in the midst of millions of votes, and does it really matter? But if you actually looked at it, let's just say in 2016, for example, there was just around, let's say, 5 million people, maybe a little over 5 million people in our state of Michigan that voted in that election. And if you look at the presidential election, just for example, the margin of victory was a little under 11,000 votes out of over 5 million people who voted. And so 11,000 sounds like a large number, but it's not a large number when you think about the fact that, you know, we could potentially register a couple hundred people this coming week, and if you multiply that out across our state, it's not really hard for you to see how critical every vote is. And so, again, that's not to say, you should vote one way or another, but that's to let you know that what you want to happen in exercising your vote really does count to the ultimate that's made um, in our elections. So it's not one of those things where your vote's just going to be a drop in the bucket. Every vote counts. Every vote matters. And so please take the time to engage.
Okay, awesome. Would you be able to tell us what that barcode was? Is that redirecting people to the website?
Yeah,
Or
that QR code will just take you to the website, which I
okay,
was showing you before.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
Do you have any more things that you want to share with us in regards to Vote Week before we close off?
No, I think we covered it. Again,
Okay.
just feel free to come through, and we'll have the applications ready for you. Bring a picture ID, and you'll be all set. You'll be good to go. And if you have any issues with anything, or if anything's confusing, we'll be around the campus center. I'll be in my office during those hours, and so you can stop by and see me if you need to. I'm in the old undergraduate leadership space if you just need to know where that is. And we'll make sure that whatever it is that you need to make this happen, we make it happen. And so we're excited about this coming week. I'm really looking forward to it. And I hope you all are excited as well. And yeah, come out and get registered to vote, and let's make it happen.
Thank you so much for taking the time to inform us and also to motivate us as well to get out there to register to vote and to see the significance that, whichever way that you vote, the point is to still exercise your right. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. And thank
Sure.
you, Malachi, for representing AUSA. We want to continue to collaborate with AUSA in the future. We know that due to COVID, we couldn't collaborate, with a lot of big events for both associations, but we hope that more conversation can be generated around how the administration can help both undergrad and grad students have a better campus experience. So thank you so much, and we really appreciate your time.
Great.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you all for this platform. Thanks for the invitation. And everybody, let's get registered to vote.
All right. Oh, and
Mhm.
quickly, for those who are online, they can phone and text a friend, right? On
Absolutely.
campus, and so everybody can get involved.
Tell a
So
friend to tell a friend. Let's make it happen.
tell a friend, tell a friend. All right,
Yep.
so we will see you this week. We really
Yep.
appreciate you. We appreciate
Thank you.
uh, Dean
Yeagley and Dean Keel.
Yeagley and
Yep.
Dean Keel. Thank you
Uh-huh.
so much for all of this hard work that you've put in. You're not on here with us, but you are with us. So we really, really appreciate all of the effort and the team effort that's going into making sure that our students are world changers.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Absolutely.
so take
Yeah.
care, and we'll see you again on the next Let's Talk.
Take care.